Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
An amount of time. A time period of 30 years. The monthly discharge of blood from the uterus of non-pregnant women from puberty to menopause. A unit of geological time during which a system of rocks formed. Ganoid fishes swarmed during the earlier geological periods. A punctuation mark, placed at the end of a declarative sentence to indicate a full stop or after abbreviations. In England they call a period a stop. Ice hockey, one of 3 divisions into which play is divided in hockey games. The end or completion of something. Death put a period to his endeavors. The interval taken to complete one cycle of a regularly repeating phenomenon. An amount of time. Hastened the period of time of his recovery. An amount of time. A time period of 30 years. The monthly discharge of blood from the uterus of non-pregnant women from puberty to menopause. The semen begins to appear in males and to be emitted at the same time of life that the catamenia begin to flow in females. Something that resembles a flowing stream in moving continuously. The museum had planned carefully for the flow of visitors. Fall or flow in a certain way. Her long black hair flowed down her back. The monthly discharge of blood from the uterus of non-pregnant women from puberty to menopause. The semen begins to appear in males and to be emitted at the same time of life that the catamenia begin to flow in females. Move or progress freely as if in a stream. The crowd flowed out of the stadium. The amount of fluid that flows in a given time. Dominant course, suggestive of running water, of successive events or ideas. The flow of thought. The motion characteristic of fluids, liquids or gases. Undergo menstruation. The act of flowing or streaming, continuous progression. Move along, of liquids. Water flowed into the cave. Any uninterrupted stream or discharge. Be abundantly present. The champagne flowed at the wedding. Cause to flow. The artist flowed the washes on the paper. Cover or swamp with water. The monthly discharge of blood from the uterus of non-pregnant women from puberty to menopause. A woman does not take the gout unless her menses be stopped. The monthly discharge of blood from the uterus of non-pregnant women from puberty to menopause. The women were sickly and subject to excessive menstruation. The monthly discharge of blood from the uterus of non-pregnant women from puberty to menopause. Archaic, a solvent. A unit of geological time during which a system of rocks formed. Ganoid fishes swarmed during the earlier geological periods. A punctuation mark, placed at the end of a declarative sentence to indicate a full stop or after abbreviations. A punctuation mark, placed at the end of a declarative sentence to indicate a full stop or after abbreviations. Be oriented. The weather vane points north. Sail close to the wind. Repair the joints of bricks. Point a chimney. Any of 32 horizontal directions indicated on the card of a compass. He checked the point on his compass. Be a signal for or a symptom of. Her behavior points to a severe neurosis. A specific identifiable position in a continuum or series, or especially in a process. A distinct part that can be specified separately in a group of things that could be enumerated on a list. The main point on the agenda was taken up first. An outstanding characteristic. His acting was one of the high points of the movie. A V shape. The cannibal's teeth were filed to sharp points. A contact in the distributor. As the rotor turns, its projecting arm contacts them and current flows to the spark plugs. The dot at the left of a decimal fraction. Direct into a position for use. Point a gun. Indicate a place, direction, person, or thing, either spatially or figuratively. He pointed to the empty parking space. The property of a shape that tapers to a sharp tip. The gun muzzle's direction. He held me up at the point of a gun. A V-shaped mark at one end of an arrow pointer. The point of the arrow was due north. An isolated fact that is considered separately from the whole. A point of information. A wall socket. An instant of time. At that point I had to leave. A very small circular shape. A row of points. Direct the course. Determine the direction of traveling. Give a point to. Intend something, to move towards a certain goal. A punctuation mark, placed at the end of a declarative sentence to indicate a full stop or after abbreviations. A brief version of the essential meaning of something. Get to the point. A distinguishing or individuating characteristic. He knows my bad points as well as my good points. A geometric element that has position but no extension. A point is defined by its coordinates. A linear unit used to measure the size of type, approximately 1/72 inch. A promontory extending out into a large body of water. They sailed south around the point. A style in speech or writing that arrests attention and has a penetrating or convincing quality or effect. Be positionable in a specified manner. The gun points with ease. Indicate the presence of game by standing and pointing with the muzzle. The dog pointed the dead duck. Mark, a psalm text, to indicate the points at which the music changes. Mark, Hebrew words, with diacritics. Mark with diacritics. Point the letter. 1% of the total principal of a loan. It is paid at the time the loan is made and is independent of the interest on the loan. Sharp end. He stuck the point of the knife into a tree. The object of an activity. What is the point of discussing it? The precise location of something, a spatially limited location. She walked to a point where she could survey the whole street. The unit of counting in scoring a game or contest. He scored 20 points in the first half. Put an end to a state or an activity. An obstruction in a pipe or tube. The act of stopping something. The third baseman made some remarkable stops. Prevent completion. Stop the project. The state of inactivity following an interruption. He spent the entire stop in his seat. Stop from happening or developing. Render unsuitable for passage. Stop the busy road. A restraint that checks the motion of something. He used a book as a stop to hold the door open. Have an end, in a temporal, spatial, or quantitative sense, either spatial or metaphorical. Your rights stop where you infringe upon the rights of other. Stop and wait, as if awaiting further instructions or developments. Interrupt a trip. We stopped at Aunt Mary's house. Seize on its way. A mechanical device in a camera that controls size of aperture of the lens. A consonant produced by stopping the flow of air at some point and suddenly releasing it. His stop consonants are too aspirated. Come to a halt, stop moving. The car stopped. The event of something ending. It came to a stop at the bottom of the hill. A brief stay in the course of a journey. They made a stopover to visit their friends. A punctuation mark, placed at the end of a declarative sentence to indicate a full stop or after abbreviations. In England they call a period a stop. Hold back, as of a danger or an enemy. Check the expansion or influence of. A spot where something halts or pauses. His next stop is Atlanta. Cause to stop. Stop a car. Music. A knob on an organ that is pulled to change the sound quality from the organ pipes. The organist pulled out all the stops. One of the four quantities that are the basis of systems of measurement. One of the four quantities that are the basis of systems of measurement. The act of emitting, causing to flow forth. A substance that is emitted or released. Any of several bodily processes by which substances go out of the body. The occurrence of a flow of water, as from a pipe. The release of electrons from parent atoms. Any of several bodily processes by which substances go out of the body. Remove, cargo, people, etc., from and leave. Electrical conduction through a gas in an applied electric field. Free from obligations or duties. Go off or discharge. Eliminate, a substance. The termination of someone's employment, leaving them free to depart. Pronounce not guilty of criminal charges. Cause to go off. Release from military service. A substance that is emitted or released. Any of several bodily processes by which substances go out of the body. The discharge of pus. The act of discharging a gun. The act of venting. The pouring forth of a fluid. Become empty or void of its content. A formal written statement of relinquishment. Complete or carry out. Discharge one's duties. Pour forth or release. Discharge liquids. Remove the charge from. The sudden giving off of energy. The time of the physical formation and development of the Earth, especially prior to human history. The time of the physical formation and development of the Earth, especially prior to human history. The marks used to clarify meaning by indicating separation of words into sentences and clauses and phrases. something that makes repeated and regular interruptions or divisions. The use of certain marks to clarify meaning of written material by grouping words grammatically into sentences and clauses and phrases. The marks used to clarify meaning by indicating separation of words into sentences and clauses and phrases. A self-contained part of a larger composition, written or musical. He always turns first to the business section. A specialized division of a large organization. She got a job in the historical section of the Treasury. The cutting of or into body tissues or organs, especially by a surgeon as part of an operation. Geometry, the area created by a plane cutting through a solid. One of the portions into which something is regarded as divided and which together constitute a whole. The finance section of the company. A small class of students who are part of a larger course but are taught separately. A graduate student taught sections for the professor's lecture course. Divide into segments. One of several parts or pieces that fit with others to constitute a whole object. A section of a fishing rod. A distinct region or subdivision of a territorial or political area or community or group of people. No section of the nation is more ardent than the South. A division of an orchestra containing all instruments of the same class. A land unit equal to 1 square mile. A segment of a citrus fruit. He ate a section of the orange. A small army unit usually having a special function. A small team of policemen working as part of a police platoon. A very thin slice, of tissue or mineral or other substance, for examination under a microscope. Sections from the left ventricle showed diseased tissue. A group of ships of similar type. One of the portions into which something is regarded as divided and which together constitute a whole. The BBC's engineering division. The act of dividing or partitioning. Separation by the creation of a boundary that divides or keeps apart. Discord that splits a group. A league ranked by quality. A unit of the United States Air Force usually comprising 2 or more wings. An administrative unit in government or business. An arithmetic operation that is the inverse of multiplication. The quotient of 2 numbers is computed. An army unit large enough to sustain combat. 2 infantry divisions were held in reserve. Biology. A group of organisms forming a subdivision of a larger category. Botany. Taxonomic unit of plants corresponding to a phylum. The act or process of dividing. The effort contributed by a person in bringing about a result. The actions and activities assigned to or required or expected of a person or group. The government must do its part. To some extent, in some degree, not wholly. I felt partly to blame. Assets belonging to or due to or contributed by an individual person or group. A portion of a natural object. They analyzed the river into 3 parts. Something less than the whole of a human artifact. The rear part of the house. One of the portions into which something is regarded as divided and which together constitute a whole. The written part of the exam. Discontinue an association or relation. Go different ways. The business partners broke over a tax question. The melody carried by a particular voice or instrument in polyphonic music. He tried to sing the tenor part. Force, take, or pull apart. Moses parted the Red Sea. An item that is an instance of some type. My dog swallowed a Lego part. A line of scalp that can be seen when sections of hair are combed in opposite directions. His part was right in the middle. Leave. The extended spatial location of something. Religions in all parts of the world. Go one's own way. Move apart. The friends separated after the party. Something determined in relation to something that includes it. He wanted to feel a part of something bigger than himself. An actor's portrayal of someone in a play. She played the part of Desdemona. Come apart. That which concerns a person with regard to a particular role or situation. It requires vigilance on our part. A piece of cloth that is left over after the rest has been used or sold. Bring to an end or halt. She ended their friendship when she found out that he had once been convicted of a crime. Be the end of. Be the last or concluding part of. This sad scene ended the movie. The state of affairs that a plan is intended to achieve and that, when achieved, terminates behavior intended to achieve it. The ends justify the means. The last section of a communication. The point in time at which something ends. The end of the year. Have an end, in a temporal, spatial, or quantitative sense, either spatial or metaphorical. My property ends by the bushes. The final stage or concluding parts of an event or occurrence. The end was exciting. A final state. He came to a bad end. Either extremity of something that has length. The end of the pier. A boundary marking the extremities of something. The end of town. A final part or section. We have given it at the end of the section since it involves the calculus. American football. A position on the line of scrimmage. No one wanted to play end. Football. The person who plays at one end of the line of scrimmage. The end managed to hold on to the pass. One of two places from which people are communicating to each other. The phone rang at the other end. Put an end to. The terrible news ended our hopes that he had survived. The part you were expected to play. He held up his end. The surface at either extremity of a three-dimensional object. One end of the box was marked, this side up. Event whose occurrence ends something. His death marked the ending of an era. The end of a word, a suffix or inflectional ending or final morpheme. I don't like words that have ism as an ending. The act of ending something. The last section of a communication. The point in time at which something ends. The ending of warranty period. The difference in pitch between two notes. A definite length of time marked off by two instants. The distance between things. A set containing all points, or all real numbers, between two given endpoints. A definite length of time marked off by two instants. A period of 2 months. A span of 2,000 years. the 2000th anniversary, or the celebration of it.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.